Hi friends, welcome to the Inspired Knitting Podcast. I'm your host Bobby and I'm coming to you from Straight Shores, New Brunswick, Canada. Today is Thursday, April the 2nd, 2026, and you're watching episode 141. No, 142. 142. Welcome. This is a podcast where I share my knitting adventures and crochet. Today I have both. Again, we are a little more crochet heavy than knit, but that's okay. I know many of you enjoy seeing the crochet again, so I'm going to share it. So yeah, welcome. If you are new, thank you for joining me today, and if you're a returning viewer, thank you for coming back and supporting me. As always, you can find me on Instagram as Inspired Knitting Podcast. That is where I am most active. I do share some pictures from time to time in my stories on what I'm working on and such, so do follow me over there. And yeah, that's all I got to say. Show notes are down in the description box below. I will always link you directly to any pattern designers that I talk about. So let's just jump right into it. Grab a beverage of your choice, grab your craft of choice, and let's just jump right into it. I have some finished objects today. I have some works in progress, and yeah, that's about it. That's about it. So first off, we would not be a show without a finished pair of socks. Always. I have a pair of finished handmade socks this week. This is Nicole C. Mendez. I actually have the tag, I think. Yes, I do. Nicole C. Mendez. She is an indie dyer from Germany. And this is on her strong sock, which is a 75% virgin wool, 25% nylon, 459 yards in the Hello Fall colorway. And this is how they worked out. And I really, really love them. They, even though the name says fall, it just reminds me of spring somehow. Like the bright colors, it's been so much fun knitting these up. So this is pair 9 for 2026. And they do match. I tried my hardest. I started out on the red and I managed to keep them pretty consistent, except for the toes. The toes end up being a little different, which is kind of weird because I have the same amount of rows for the foot. So I don't know, but that's okay. I still love them very much. I didn't follow a pattern for this. I just do, for this pair, actually, I cast it on 68 stitches because they are not for me, they're for a friend. So I cast it on 68 stitches, did 2x2 ribbing for about 20 rows, 50 rows for the leg, slip stitch, heel flap, and gusset. And then I just did my length of foot and a standard, I believe it's called a rounded toe. So I didn't follow a pattern for that. And they turned out really well. I love them. I will continue with the knitting part of it first. So I did finish my Sophie scarf, and I am not going to put it on because, you guys, it does not look great on me. I got a short little stubby neck. It just does not look good. So I'm just going to show it to you like this. I have no idea what this yarn is. It was just a skein of DK that I had in my stash, and I just knit the smallest size in the pattern. There are 2 sizes for the Sophie scarf, and I just did the smallest size, and quite honestly I could have done the large. I do have quite a bit of the yarn left over. So had I thought ahead properly, what I could have done was weighed the ball of yarn, and I could have knit up to that point. As I kind of said it on the last episode, if I had 50 grams, I probably would have knit up to about 24 grams left and then started my decreases. That way I could have used up the whole ball. But that's okay. That is okay. Just bring it up a little bit closer. There are some speckles of pink in there. Might be a little hard to tell, but it's a very beautiful yarn. I wish I could tell you who it was by, but I don't know. Sophie scarf is a beautiful one. It's really quick. It's a very potato chip kind of knit, like you just want to keep going on it, like it's super simple. I know that Molly of a Homespun House, she uses fingering weight yarn to do hers. And again, you just adjust your needle size. There is a Sophie shawl that is very similar to this, except it's on a larger scale. It's a shawl. So that is something that is kind of on my radar for the future, because I really love the look of it. And I love shawls, not little scarflets. But this is just something that is a great stash buster. It got some of the yarn out of my stash. And I plan to make more of these just to get more yarn out of my stash. I think it's great. So there's that. That is the Sophie scarf by Petiteknit. I did not say that. Okay, so that's it for the knitting part. Now I have some crochet to share with you. And some of it is a little bit of a repeat, but not quite. So this past week I got another shipment of yarn from Yarnspirations. Their 40% off sale is now done with. It finished April 1st, unfortunately. So hopefully you guys were able to get in on that and get some yarn while it was on sale. But I purchased some blanket yarn, and I still have one shipment that was supposed to be delivered today, but it does not look like that's going to happen. But that's okay. It will come eventually, but I have ordered more blanket yarn. Now, I keep saying that I don't necessarily like to work with it, and I don't. But this past week, I kind of got a little obsessed with working with the colors that I did have. And some of it is actually quite nice. And I had a lot of fun with it, and I kind of became obsessed with it. Hence the reason why there's not so many socks, because I just wanted to knit or wanted to crochet on toys, and especially using the blanket yarn. So all the blanket yarn I'm about to toys I'm about to show you is done in Burnett Blanket, or Burnett Blanket Mystical, the Mystical line. So here's the first one. This is Beth Bunny in her little carrot sleeping bag. And the yarn that I use for Miss Beth here is the Burnett Baby Blanket, or Burnett Blanket Mystical. So it's kind of like this brown and gray mix. And then I'll just take her out. That's how big she is. So if you watched my previous episodes and you saw my other little Beth Bunnies, they're like only that big and just holding worsted weight single. So there is quite a difference when you use the yarn that the pattern calls for. So this is Baby Beth Bunny by Oak and Marlow. I talk about them a lot, but I love them. And the carrot sleeping bag is separate. This is Loops and Threads yarn. It is like a blanket yarn though. And then for the top, I didn't have green, so I just held worsted weight double, and I did the leafy parts. But that is the first toy that I made just in time for Easter. And then also from Oak and Marlow, they have the baby, I don't know if she's called baby, but it's the Prim bunny. And it's just that she has like these long floppy ears on her. So this is also in the Burnett Blanket. And I use the Burnett Mystical on the top. Now Beth Bunny, or not Beth Bunny, Prim Bunny comes with a patchy pattern and a Dutch pattern. So what that means is that you're changing colors. So you would start off with, I started off with the white to do her feet, and then I changed into the beige and gray for her legs and her lower body, changed back to the white, and then you go between using the white and the beige to do her head and her ears, and it just gives her a multicolored look. And I thought that was really fun, and it adds so much charm and character to her. So those are included in the pattern. Now you can do Prim Bunny just in one solid color, like you don't have to do the color changes, but the color changes are included in the pattern. It also comes with a bonnet, I believe, for the bunny, and a dress, which I will share with you in just a moment. So I did another Prim Bunny. This time I just did her in white. So this is Bernette blanket yarn in the vintage white colorway. And I decided to do the dress for her. Just let me fix her little ears here. I decided to do the little dress. And the dress is also done with Bernette blanket yarn, just a different line. And it just ties in the back. And it also comes with the pattern to do a cute little flower. Isn't she cute? I just realized I didn't put a nose on her. I guess I have to do that, don't I? But there she is, and she looks super cute. So again, I would definitely do these in worsted weight as well. Just bear in mind that if you do it in worsted weight, you have to adjust your hook size, and it's going to be on the smaller side, which is still cute. Or you could hold worsted weight double, which is still awesome, but I don't really like holding it double. If it's necessary, I will. But like I said, this past week, I've just been having a lot of fun with the blanket yarn. It's so soft and it's so cuddly, and it just makes them like the perfect size. So I've been enjoying that. So I got a lot more coming to me, which is not good for my yardage, which I did bring my book with me. I will do that at the end of the podcast for my grams in, grams out. But that is Prim Bunny, and she does come with the dress and the flower. Oak and Marlow. The last one that I have to share with you is also by Oak and Marlow. And no, I am not sponsored by them. I just love their patterns. This is Baby Finbear, and he is also part of the Fable collection. And he is done in Bernette blanket, I think. Or maybe it's loops and threads, I can't remember. But it's like a blanket yarn. And for him, I do have these little safety noses, so I just decided to put the safety nose on him rather than embroidering it. And I just got to put his little tail on, that's all that he is missing. Because Bobby doesn't read through patterns like she should, and I realized later that there was supposed to be a tail. So I have to go back and do that. But that is Baby Finbear. Isn't he cute? And he also comes with like a little bonnet as well, like a hat. It is done in worsted weight yarn. I did make one, and I didn't like the way it looked on him. I preferred him without it, so I just took the hat back apart. Not hard to do at all. There's even video tutorials. That's the great thing about Oak and Marlow. They have links all throughout their patterns to help guide you if you need help with something or how to do something that may seem a little intriguing. So they do have links within their patterns to do it, and they are on YouTube, and they have some great tutorials from what I've seen. So you do have help, so they are definitely worth it. Just a note that if you don't own any of these Fable collection, bears or bunnies, you can actually purchase the whole Fable collection in one. I believe it is $23 Canadian for the whole collection. I don't remember how many animals are in the Fable collection, but I do know that I know Beth Bunny, Finn Bear are definitely in the collection. I don't know if Prim Bunny is part of the collection or not, but there is Tilly the cat, I know. There's a few of them that are in the Fable collection. So if you go on to their Ravelry, and I think they also are on Etsy, I'm not sure. Look for the Fable collection if you are interested in buying the collection as a whole, because it would be a lot cheaper than purchasing the patterns individually. So that's just a little tip. But highly recommend them. They are wonderful patterns, and I have very much been enjoying them, as you can tell. So I'm pretty sure, nope, I got one more finished object. I'm gonna have to either put it across the screen here who the designer is, or I will definitely have it linked below because it's on my tablet, not on my phone here. I made a turtle. And normally I do these turtles. Last summer at the market, these turtles were a huge hit, and I did not do them in blanket yarn. I did them in worsted weight yarn and all different colors, and they just flew off the table. They were a huge hit. And I haven't done them of recent, but I was like so obsessed, like I said, with the blanket yarn this week. I was like, I wonder what the turtle would look like if it was done in blanket yarn. So the pattern itself does call for worsted weight or blanket yarn. So I decided to try the blanket yarn, and we definitely have a big size turtle. He turned out so amazing, or I should say she turned out so amazing. And the flower I just did in worsted weight held double. And oh my god, it is so stinking cute. I cannot wait to put this on my table tomorrow. It is going to be, or Saturday. Saturday, not tomorrow. Losing track of my days, guys. So yeah, very cool. Now this is crocheted, obviously, and it is a low sew pattern. So what that means is that you would do the head, the feet, and the tail first, and then you do the shell, and then as you're doing once you finish the shell, you do a row where you're attaching all these pieces, so you do not have to sew them on, which I hate sewing stuff on. It always goes wonky. I don't like it. So I love the low sew patterns, or no sew, and this one is no exception. The only thing I had to sew on was the flower. And then what I like to do, I always do the long necked version of the turtle. There is a short necked version as well. I always do the long necked one just because I think they look so cute. But all I do is take some scrap yarn. Now I used the blanket yarn at first, and to tack the head to the shell to make it stay up. It didn't exactly work out so well, so I just took a piece of worsted weight yarn and I secured the head in there, and you wouldn't even know that I did that. You can't even see it. So that is just another tip, that if you do this pattern, I always tack the head to the shell, because otherwise it's just gonna flop down and it's not gonna look right. But yeah, there she is, and I love her so much. So I will make sure I have that pattern linked down below. Okay, so that's all I have for finished objects. Now let's move on to works in progress. So I did work a little bit on my Cozy Memories blanket. I managed to put a few more squares in it. So the Cozy Memories blanket that I am following is by Shelley Dupont of Polka Dot Creek, sorry. And I just am doing mitered squares. Now her pattern calls for fingering weight. I'm doing fingering weight held double, and I just adjusted my needle size. I think I'm using a 4mm needle, and yeah, I'm doing a 20 by 20 square, and this is what I have so far. So on the last episode I had this one in. Now I've added 4 more. And if you watched the last episode, you could tell that these are the 2 that I held together in my DK weight socks. So now you can get an idea what those 2 colors look like knit up by themselves. And then I added in this one, which was an assigned pooling skein, scraps from an assigned pooling. And then this was also from a pair of socks that I did this past summer. Very cool. And I'm loving it so far. So I have 11 squares so far in the blanket, and I plan to do 16 across and 12 high, I believe, is what I originally planned to do. So I'm pretty happy with it. This just comes out when I need a break away from everything else, like the toys and the socks and stuff like that. It's just very mindless, and it's very satisfying. It's helping me go through more of my scraps, so it just feels really good, and it's super, super beautiful. So I'm very happy that I got 4 squares on this week. So there's that. The next one that I have to share with you is in my beautiful Peekaboo bag by Daisy Girl and Company. And I casted on another pair of DK weight socks because I always like to keep a pair on the go. And I finished the first sock already. Now I didn't put it on the blocker, but it's just a shorty sock. And the pattern is called the Crisp Morning Socks by Knit On Designs. I will have that linked below. And it's just this beautiful lace pattern. It is just so beautiful. So the Crisp Morning Socks are intended to be a fingering weight pair of socks. They come in one size, so 64 stitches. And as I said, on fingering weight, I decided that I was going to adapt the pattern to DK. So that is exactly what I did. It was not hard to do. Yeah, it wasn't hard to do at all. So what I did was I just used the numbers from K Crazy Sock Lady Designs DK weight vanilla sock pattern. There is several sizes in that pattern, and it is a free pattern on Ravelry, by the way. I wasn't sure about that, but it is. So what I did is I cast it on the medium size for the cuff, just to give it that extra stretch. And then I decreased down to the smallest size, which is 40 stitches. And then I just adapted this. I counted out the repeat for the lace, and I just adapted it to a DK, the DK numbers. And I found that it worked better with the smaller size for the DK socks than it did for the medium. It still would have worked out, but I just preferred the smaller size, the way it looked. So that's what I did. So yeah, there's the first one. And the yarn that I am using for this is Barocco Ultra Wool, which is 100% superwash wool. And the color number is 33153. So there's the tag. And the colorway is called Heather, which is just a very beautiful purple. And I have the second one already started. I just got the cuff the cuff is done. So now I just am going to start into the pattern. So I did 15 rows of 2x2 ribbing for the cuff. I did 1 repeat of the lace pattern for the leg, and then I did the heel flap and gusset, and then I just continued on with the lace patterning down the foot. So that is what I have done. I will try to make a note of that on my my Ravelry page. But yeah, it turned out really well, and I was hoping to have the pair done this week, but like I said, I got obsessed with toys. They knit up super, super fast because they are shorty socks. And I believe once they are done, I already have my second pair already thought out. I have a skein of biscuit yarns in, it's kind of like a toffee color. So I would really love to cast on a pair in that, because the pattern picture for the pattern is in like a toffee color, and it just looks so beautiful. So I think that's what I'd like to do next. So we shall see what happens. Okay, I have just one. Yep, I have just one more work in progress to share with you, and it's a new cast on. I've lost my marbles, you guys. It's in a beautiful bag by Bags by Awesome Granny. And the reason I have lost my marbles is because I just did a video recently sharing with you guys all my works in progress and how I was going to work on said works in progress. And I went and cast it on a cardigan. I've lost my marbles, but that's okay. I decided that I wanted to do a crocheted cardigan, which I don't have one of those, and I thought it looked super cute. So the pattern is called the Everyday Rag Cardigan by MJ's Off the Hook Designs, and it is a paid for pattern. You can get it on Etsy, and I believe you can get it on Ravelry as well. Here's what I have so far. It goes from, I believe, extra small to a 5XL. And it is top-down construction. It's got the raglan increases, as you can see. And this is what I have so far. I just started this last night. I haven't gotten too far on it. And it's super simple. I really am enjoying it. I'm using a eye crochet hook, which is a 5.5. It recommended and these are Knit Pros, by the way. It recommended a 6mm, but I did a gauge swatch and it was a little too holy. Like the gaps in the work were it was a bit much for me, and it still is a little too much for my liking, but you're going to be wearing something under it anyways, so it's not going to matter. But that is the tendency of crochet, right? So it's okay. But the cardigan looks absolutely beautiful. It's a long cardigan. I am definitely not going to do it that long, but it does have pockets, so I don't know if I'm going to do the pockets yet. I might consider it. It does have buttons as well. Again, not sure if I'm going to do buttons or not. I typically don't do buttons up on a cardigan. I just like an open cardigan. So those will be decisions that I make when the garment is closer to completion, but the options are there if you would like them. So the yarn that I'm using, I had a sweater's quantity of Wool of the Andes tweed, which is a worsted weight yarn. It is worsted weight. It uses, the designer used Mary Maxim rag to do it, a worsted weight yarn, but it's no longer in stock. Like, all the colors are like sold out. So I was like, okay, it would have been nice to use it because it was like a marled yarn, and it was super beautiful. It gave it a beautiful effect, but like I said, it's out of stock right now. So I already had the Knit Picks Wool of the Andes in my stash. I have a whole sweaters quantity that has been sitting here for a couple of years. So I thought, why not just use that? It is a 80% Pavilion Highland wool, 20% Donegal tweed, and it is in the Wreath Heather colorway. Not that it's going to show it because it's blowing it out really bad. Still not going to show it well. But it's just this beautiful, beautiful green. I absolutely love it. So that is what I have started. And I am really loving it so far. It's really fun. I am obsessed lately with crocheting. My love of crochet has definitely come back. Definitely not going to take over the knitting, that is for sure. But it's just really nice. I started off as a crocheter, as many of you, if you have followed me from the very beginning and you're still here, thank you so much for still watching me. We have definitely come a long way. But I started off as a crocheter, and I kind of lost that when I started knitting because I love to knit. But I kind of lost my way when it came to crochet, and doing all the toys and that for the market has definitely brought it back, and I am very grateful for that because it's a lot of fun. So I'm very happy. I'm happy to have a crocheted cardigan, hopefully, in my wardrobe very soon. So that's all I have for works in progress. I haven't really been working on anything else. I do have a pair of crank socks that I'm still working on. I shared them with you guys last week. It is the Area 51 Fibers Never Not Rainbowing colorway. Absolutely stunning. I put the toe on one of the tubes. That's all I did. So I didn't bother bringing that because there wasn't much to show. But besides that, I don't think I have worked on anything else. I haven't touched my blanket, my other granny stripe blanket. I haven't touched that. So yeah, that's pretty much, it's just been the toys and what I have shown you. So I have my fancy little book that I am keeping track of my grams in and grams out for 2026. And I'm already starting to forget sometimes to put stuff in here, so I really do hope that I can continue this throughout the whole year because it would be rather interesting. And it's just a fun way to see what's coming into your stash and what you're using, what you're making. So what I do, the way that the journal is set up, it's by days. So on the first here, you can see that I made a hatching dragon, and then I would mark down how many grams he weighed. So when I finish an object, I just mark it down on whatever day I finished it, and I write what it was, and then I write the grams out. So this month was a rather interesting month. I did rather well for grams out, but I didn't win. So I had 3,056 grams out of my stash this month. That is bonkers. That is like a huge number. I had a few big finishes, but that's pretty cool. I kind of went through the month and I made 30 toys, which is also very insane. And I made 6 pairs of socks. So the socks are either cranked ones or they are hand knit ones, but 6 pairs. I didn't mark down the other miscellaneous things that I made. Like I finished the Slit Sprite scarf. I finished the Sophie scarf as well. I didn't mark down stuff like that. I just wanted to mark down the toys and the socks because they are my 2 major things that I actually actively work on all the time. So I thought that would be cool just to kind of write that down. This is the first month that I've done that. So I had 3,056 grams out of my stash. However, I had 5,291 grams in. Thank you, Yarnspirations, because that's where a lot of it came from. We are talking acrylic yarn, not indie dyed yarn. So there's a lot of yardage in some of the balls. The Burnett blanket balls, they're like 300, the ones that I'm getting are 300 grams per ball. You can get 150 gram balls, 300 gram, or 600 gram balls, which I think that's pretty awesome. You can get that off of Yarnspirations. So yeah, I had a lot of yardage come in, but I'm not upset because I need the yarn for my toys and for market. I needed to update my acrylic stash, shall we say. I needed more colors, and I'm very happy with having over 3,000 grams out. So if I had knit or crocheted 2,200 more grams, I would have broke even, but let's not be crazy. I'm pretty happy with that number. So there we go. There you have it. That is March's stats. So I will hopefully continue that for the month of April, and I will update you guys at the end of the month and let you know how well that went. Okay, so I think that's all I have to share with you guys for today. I will, of course, make sure to have the show notes linked down below. And I just wanted to make a quick note. Somebody asked if I would do a tutorial or just a video on my cranking machine, my sock machine. So I will see what I can do. I have done a short little video for a couple viewers before, kind of showing them how to get started and stuff like that, but I will see if I can do a full tutorial kind of with how I get started, some little tips and tricks that I have learned along the way so far, and yeah, I'll see if I can do that. The setup that I have, I do use a tripod, but I kept hitting the tripod. That's the problem, so it was a bit shaky. So we'll see what I can manage to do, and yeah, I'll see if I can get that out fairly soon. I'm not going to say when, but give me a few weeks or so, and I'll see what I can come up with. So yeah, that should be fun too. So anyways, I'm going to let you guys go for now. I hope you have a great Easter weekend. I hope you have a great week ahead. And until next week, happy knitting. Bye.